Hello, hello. Welcome back. I've had a week off. I was away, and I think I said I was away. I hope I did. Sorry if I didn't. But yeah, I was away last weekend. It's back to Sunday evening. It is 7:30, and it is time for another live stream. There has been a load of work done again in the last week or so. So I've got various updates to take you through. I've got some things which I need to work on this evening, which I think I mentioned in the community post earlier on, to do with conversations with Tyler, and some other bits and pieces which I'll get to later on in the stream, I think. But yeah, I'll be cracking on with some actual work, but I thought I might start by showing you some of the progress I've made with the Steam store graphics. So I mentioned on the last stream, which was now 2 weeks ago, that I was going to be launching it on Steam. I'd paid my Steam key fee to set up the game, got all of that registered, and I mentioned briefly, I think on the last stream, about just how much stuff there is you've got to create for a Steam page before you even get to having a final build of your game. There's like a load of graphics you need for the store page and for the library page and stuff like that. So I've kind of done most of that now. I'm almost at the point where that Steam page will be ready. I've been working on the trailer that I mentioned as well, because again, Steam page needs at least kind of 5, I think it's minimum of 5 screenshots, and ideally a trailer as well. And I just know through advice from other people that it's well worth having both like a teaser launch trailer, but also some gameplay trailer as well. So I've been capturing that as well. All of that's kind of getting to the point where I'm happy with that, and that should all be getting submitted soon. So getting the Steam page ready doesn't mean the game's ready, far from it. But what I have managed to do over the last couple of weeks is do a load of testing, do a load of linking up the bits at the start of the game to get to a point now where like the whole of Act 1 and most of Act 2 are now fully playable and pretty well bug tested. I've got the music sorted out, I've got some sound effects sorted out. My wife has kindly been doing some alpha testing and getting feedback from her. As I've mentioned to people who've been watching the live streams and following the channel and subscribing, if you are interested in doing some beta testing, then I'd be very grateful. You should be able to find the contact details for me on my YouTube channel. There's an email address there, I think, that you could get in touch if you do want to do some beta testing. Once I've got like a beta package of it ready, I should be able to sort out a build for Steam and do it through the proper beta testing route through Steam. So yeah, there's been quite a lot done there. Things are yeah, gaining pace. The things that I need to focus on next really are the Act 3 stuff. So you will have seen some of that if you've been following the channel, which is like the Funky Monkeys stuff. I've decided now, I'm not making the game bigger again, but actually to break the kind of finale bit into a separate act. And I've been managing the acts using these little like title screens, I guess, for each act. And I might have mentioned that on the last stream, that they've been actually really helpful in having like a break between some of the sections where I can use these for testing jumping off points. So that's been really helpful. I'll maybe go into that a bit as well. So I think I'll start by going through some of the Steam artwork, because I learnt a valuable lesson which I can share with you all as well, which is ultimately things change. So you shouldn't rely on something that you did ages ago being the same anymore. So I'll share my screen here. Oh, the drums are back as well. Got the drums out the garage. Fancied a drum the other day, so drum kit's sat there now. making my office feel a bit more cramped. I'm facing this way most of the time, so it doesn't really matter. So let's have a look. So here we are in Photoshop. I chose to do all my Steam store page stuff in Photoshop rather than Sprite. The artwork has all come out of Sprite, but Photoshop's really handy for having like artboards in one document. So setting up an artboard document like this with lots and lots of different effectively things that can be exported as separate graphics. And another powerful bit of Photoshop is its kind of instancing. So I had a document like this set up for my previous game, and this is where the moment of learning comes from, for Polycity Stories. And it had, at the time, all of the requirements that were needed for the Steam store page at the time. The thing is, things change, and I checked briefly. I had a little look. When you're releasing a game on Steam, you get a login to the Steamworks section, and I can't really show you that because there's various things in the license agreement where you're not meant to show bits of the Steamworks thing because it's got ID numbers and things related to my game, which could be a security problem of someone stealing my game or something like that. So I can't share the screens with that, but ultimately you end up, you can download a template pack with all of the artwork that you need. And I checked a couple of them, like maybe 2 of them, because there's a big list of stuff that you need, all the pixel ratios for your library image, your store image and all that kind of thing. And 2 of them were kind of identical to how they used to be. So I was like, oh, they'll all be the same then. So I set about using the template that I'd made in Photoshop for my previous game, set them all up, spent a good, I would say, 4 hours or more getting all the different graphics like laid out nicely, and then exported them all, loaded them into Steamworks, and about 8 of the 15 were the wrong size, and I was like, hey, I went and had a look, and they've all changed very slightly since I did my last game. So I ended up setting up another template, and at that point I was also noticing there was some graphical issues with scaling some of this stuff. Photoshop wasn't keeping my nice crisp graphics the way I wanted them to be. So ultimately I ended up having to make a load of artboards very specifically with the sizes that were needed. So like these ones that say 2026 header capsule 920 by 430. There's some bizarre pixel sizes, by the way, on Steam. That one there, 1232 by 706. I mean, who's making these up? But ultimately what my process was is you need to have like a separate master game logo as like a PNG that you have to submit. And that's in one of these over here somewhere. So there it is. That's the library logo, 1280 by 720. It's got to be a PNG. It's got to just have the logo name because that sits and floats above other bits of artwork. So you end up making a library hero image here. This is if it appears at the top of the library, and then this floats over it. Then you can kind of choose where it floats when you set up your Steam page. I've just made this really simple background with a couple of like different shades in it, some little sparkly bits, just to make the pixel art pop a little bit. And then when all of these ones, like the vertical capsule for when it appears in, well, vertically in like the library on Steam, that's the kind of the big one. There's like little custom icons for the game itself when it installs. The main capsule that would fit if it was in the Steam sale or that kind of thing. The header capsule, which I believe sits at the top of your Steam page, and then like the small ones, things like that. And there's a, whoops, just moved everything. There's then like page background, so that gets faded into the background of the actual store page. So I've got Clive and Tyler either side of there. Yeah, the library one, the library hero that it all sits on top of. and then the library header, which is the one that you kind of see at the top of the store page at the right hand side. So lots and lots of different ones. They're all made up of assets which originally what I do is I have this master one over here. Oh, and there's like a title there for the gameplay trailer. So what I tended to set up, this is not a particular size, is an artboard that I then made like smart objects of, they're called in Photoshop. They're basically instances. So there's like the main character, which is Clive here. So you can make that as like an instance and then copy this instance to other ones and then scale them in the other ones. There was some issues. You had to change a setting in preferences. I think it was in preferences general. There's a setting here which I didn't know about somewhere. There. So image interpolation by default is bicubic. That's what it always set to in Photoshop. But for the pixel art, it needs to be set to nearest neighbour. Otherwise, what was happening was as I was scaling Clive for these different sized things, some of them are quite small as well, it was really messing up his artwork. It was getting really blurred and things, and it was just really annoying, so I couldn't use the instances. So I ended up making like just separate smaller versions, importing the original artwork at different sizes, so I wasn't scaling any of this because I wanted it to be really crisp for the store. And then after that, I kind of got a bit annoyed, as I usually do, when there's something in a piece of software that's like, that's not right. There must be a way to stop that. I then found out about that setting where instances, smart objects, get bicubically scaled, and you just needed to turn that off, restart Photoshop, and it would have all been fine. So it's not all set up instance I would have liked to have done, but it has meant that I've been able to carefully make sure everything looks really crisp and really neat. So that is all of that stuff. The Steam page is the big checklist that you get. It is all green now, so that should, the submission it will be going in. The trailer and stuff, I just need to finish off a couple of bits on that. Oh, there was these little banners as well, did you notice them? I drew this gripper rod because there's a gripper rod in the trailer, part of like a line that I've got in there, like a line of dialogue in the trailer that's got a gripper rod in. So I've been putting this little snapped gripper rod as these little banners between the about section and some of the items from the game as well. Just so the store page has got a bit of graphics on it in the about section as well. So yeah, it took quite a while to set all of this up, but it's done now. I've exported all of these, are imported into my Steamworks account, and the Steam page will be coming soon. The reason for that, of course, as a solo indie developer with no publisher and no marketing team, nothing like that, the idea is, or the recommendation is, that you get your Steam page up and running as soon as possible, as soon as you've got something to show for the game, something that looks nice, a teaser trailer, ideally a gameplay trailer, at least 5 like final quality screenshots, rather than putting something out there on Steam to try and get people to wishlist your game ultimately, that isn't full quality. So I felt like I'm at that stage. I've done a lot of stuff on the UI recently. I've got trailer footage captured and starting to edit all of that together. So I thought I was in a position where actually I'm really proud of the way it's looking and it feels, and I've decided on the music now and all of that's in, so I could capture gameplay footage and use similar music in the trailers so that the feel was right and everything. I talked about this a little bit on the previous live stream, that just going, right, I need to make a trailer, it's not as simple as that. It kind of comes back to the music and everything else. But I'm really happy with how it is. I've made the trailer kind of light-hearted, a bit funny, a bit tongue-in-cheek, because then it suits the game, and hopefully that'll capture people's attention, because ultimately, as soon as I get the notification that the Steam store, they basically verify it takes a few days from what I remember, maybe a week, then you're able to open your Steam store for wish lists, which is kind of what it's all about in the indie game community, is then asking you wonderful people who've been following the channel and those 1,000 and a bit subscribers, nearly 1,750 I think subscribers, of which very few of them come along to live streams, but I really do hope that I'm able to get some people wishlisting it. I still think, genuinely, I think I'm quite a way off finishing. I think I'm over that halfway point now. I'm sorted with music and things. As I've gone through Act 1, Act 2, blocked all of that out, and it's all working well, or it seems to be working well. I've got to turn my attention to those final acts 3 and 4, and that's gonna. I don't think that's going to be as much work as the Act 1 and Act 2 stuff is. There was a lot of stuff that needed doing, all the basics, the characters, the animations and things like that are kind of ticked off. So I think I've passed the halfway point. In terms of time, I think it's kind of 9 months really since, 9 or 10 months since I sat down on a pool chair in France on holiday and kind of thought, oh, carpet shop salesmen are weird, aren't they? That might make a funny point and click game, because various run-ins I've had with buying carpet for houses and flooring, thought there's some weird people who work in them shops, and that's kind of where it all came about. So from that initial idea, I think probably 9 to 10 months ago, I don't think it's going to be another 9 to 10 months to finish it, hopefully. And I'm thinking, I'm certainly not putting a date on the Steam page, but I'm thinking toward the end of the year, Christmas time, maybe the new year, is where I'll be like maybe aiming to launch, because we've got to get lots of testing done as well. So coming to that, I suppose, let's bring up my testing sheet. A lot of stuff has got done. If I unfilter this and show me dones, the greens are all the dones. So I've got a lot of these done recently. There are still some things that are not started, some things that need retests. Some of these I know are working now, actually. I just haven't like ticked them off in here. But yeah, there is quite a few things done, and from some of the last tests as well, there's some other things here that I've just recently noted down that are less bugs, but things that I need to get done. So yeah, I'm making good progress through that stuff as well, and then that kind of becomes a bit of a I guess a double-edged sword as well, because I do want to continue doing these live streams. They're really good for me. Hopefully they're interesting for the people who follow along, but they're good for me in terms of motivating me to get some stuff done and summarise a bit of what I'm thinking every week. But as I get closer and closer to like the final acts of the game, some of this stuff that's now in my massive planning sheet that I've got on screen here, some of this is real spoiler material. This here is new since the last time I did a live stream. I think we saw bits of this conversation with the guy with the fish tank. So this is where I plan all my conversations and conversation dialogue trees and options that you choose and what it would say and things like that, and bits that loop around. A fairly straightforward dialogue tree there. Lots of stuff in it, but that's like the end of like Act 2. I've just got some bits to tidy up around here, but Act 2 is kind of nearly done. There's not a lot to go with Act 2. Act 3 is smaller. It's definitely less stuff, and I've already made a big dent in all of that. If you've joined the live streams before and seen these scenes, Funky Monkeys, the side alley, the roof, there is another scene which I've not been showing much of on purpose because it's a bit of a spoiler, which is part of Act 3. And then Act 4 is effectively really the finale of the game. And what I've got for the finale of the game is this beast over here, which is like a multi-sectional conversation tree made up of lots of different dialogues and dialogue options and choices. because this game actually has, if you like, a choices matter different ending depending on some of the things that you do. So this is all spoiler material, which I kind of don't want to go too deep into really, but this has taken a lot of planning. In here is like multiple choice questions, things that happen in the finale scene, and alternative routes depending on what you ask, how you answer, and yeah, you end up kind of in a different ending depending on what you do. So that has taken a lot of work. One of the things that I want to do tonight that I'll be concentrating on here is this talk to Tyler cutscene. I think I mentioned briefly when I was live streaming last, or the time before, that I'd set up Tyler so he kind of walks about the shop. He feels a bit more alive. He wanders between a few different places, fiddles on his phone, fiddles at the computer, moves about, so he's just a little bit more alive. But at the moment you can't talk to him, and Tyler plays kind of or I want him to play kind of a pivotal role in if the player's a bit stuck, or to help you understand a little bit of the narrative. You could ask Tyler a question and he's going to respond. So these are the things I've started writing here, and on this live stream I'm gonna flesh this out a bit, and then I'm going to start setting this up in Adventure Creator in Unity, so that at any point during Act 2 when Tyler's wandering about the shop, you can speak to him, and depending on what point you're at in Act 2 and which objectives you've completed, which puzzles are complete and things like that, and potentially how you've completed them, there'll be different conversation options with Tyler. So that involves these ones over here where there's are you carrying the inventory sign? Then you can ask him about why that sign's wrong. If you've started this objective, then you can ask him these questions. If you've completed this objective, then you can ask him that one. There's more to come here as well. So there's a variety of different things you're going to be able to speak to Tyler about at different points in the game. So it's getting that set up tonight, or at least making a dent in that, because there's quite a bit to do there. And there's definitely some other spoiler material in there as well, because there's points in Act 2 that I've probably not talked too much about. And then there's this document which I started a while back, and that was just helping me to just actually kind of in stone fix the synopsis. Like, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. So the full synopsis is there. Again, spoilers at the bottom of it, so I won't go into it, but I've at least blocked out the acts now and everything that needs to happen to get there. And you can see the acts get shorter, so I've got less to do, basically. Yeah, so we're in a good place, I think. Everything seems to be going okay with it for the time being. So I think I'm going to jump into Unity, set up these first bits for Tyler's conversation, show you kind of where it's at, so you can understand what I'm needing to add. I'm just going to shut down Photoshop and things because computer RAM being used by lots of different things. So where we're at here is we're in Act 2, in the Act 2 version of the shop floor, and I'll just hit play so you can see what happens here. You can see Tyler, I think I mentioned this before, he's kind of behind the desk. I'm reusing an animation where he's using his phone there, but it kind of looks like he's at the keyboard, he's using the PC. Oh, I haven't even shared my screen. There we go. So Tyler's wandering about. He's wandered off to somewhere on the shop floor. He'll come wandering back by himself in a minute. I'm not going to walk off because I'm going to trigger this if I walk off. So here he comes. Comes back. Gets back behind the computer. Does his little idle blink. Goes on his phone. And then what he'll do is basically select somewhere else to go. and I've got 3 different places he goes, and he randomly selects somewhere, he goes over the plant, fiddles for a bit, looks around, comes back, goes back to there, and then he selects another place to go. So he's just kind of busy around the store. A little bit later on in Act 2, he's talking to somebody over here when you get called to speak to another customer. So he calls you on the tannoy, you come out of the kitchen, he walks from the computer, speaks to this other lady, you're speaking to the weird fish guy. But any other time during Act 2, when he's not busy speaking to that customer, I want the player to be able to click him wherever he is and kind of start a conversation with him. So what I haven't worked out, and I'm going to be trying to work out in here, at the moment, if I click him, Clive will just face him and say, "Hey, Tyler." So I've got that set up. But it doesn't currently stop Tyler doing what he's doing. It doesn't stop his little behaviour that I've set up. It doesn't walk Clive over to Tyler. It doesn't walk Tyler over to Clive. So I need to decide kind of what I want to do in that. The other thing I need to do as well is disable this trigger, because I've set this up so that when it starts, it takes all the variables that you would have set by the end of Act 1. So you're kind of in Act 2 mode here. I haven't filled the inventory, but that's something else that I've done. So I think on the end of the last live stream, I was trying to work out how to do this. So I've swapped the what was like a Tesco carrier bag for this little roller carpet, and I was wanting to do a bit of animation of it rolling out so that the inventory felt a bit better themed. So that works now. If I click that, it just and you even get like a little carpet sound, which is nice. And you've got these buttons get clicked and things like that now. In fact, let me go and pick something up. Oh, this is going to trigger something, I think, when I go in. Oh yes, so it's the start of Act 2. Just skip all of that. So I'll show you now when you pick something up. So you get these sounds. I've got multiple sounds for different things, and a little pop when you hover over things now. So I've set up the inventory just to look a lot nicer. It's all themed. The main menu as well is kind of set up and themed that way as well. So quite a few things done just in the general like UI areas. So we've got really to work out a couple of things here. First thing is I'm going to disable this so it's not in the way, because it's going to cause me problems, I think. So I'm just going to go to settings here, and the action list that gets run on the start of the game. This just is when I'm testing things, so I can set things up in a particular way. What I want to do is just set it up as if that trigger has been triggered already. I just can't remember what it's called. So it is a puzzle, and it's called aircon, I think. So Act 2 aircon fixed. If I just change that to true, let's just stick it in here. You can just change it there, but I've stopped doing that because it's been, what happens is I forget the bits that I've changed. I've got this these variable presets, which is basically a set, like the state of every variable in the game saved as a preset for a particular time. So I've got the Act 2 one that's getting loaded here, and at the start of Act 2 this wouldn't be complete, but I just want to change this one while I'm testing it, just that one thing. So I'm just going to set the global variable Act 2 aircon fixed to true. So hopefully that doesn't trigger this trigger on here. Let's see. Go to the scene view and find it. It's this aircon trigger. Yeah, so if it's not started, actually puzzle aircon, that's, yeah, so I've got two different things. I've got the puzzle aircon, I've got the aircon fixed thing. The aircon fixed one controls a lot of the conversations, but that actual puzzle aircon, I need to set that to complete so it doesn't trigger it, or in progress, but let's just set it to complete for now. I'm just trying to mitigate what will happen here. So puzzle. I wish you could change the order of these really easily. You can change them, but this would be really handy if this was in alphabetical order. So puzzle, can't see it. Puzzle, aircon. Puzzle, 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 plants, aircon. Set value to complete, and that shouldn't trigger anything when I walk over it. I'll just check that. Just wander over here. If it's not going to trigger it, no, that's good. Right, so it's not triggering that anymore. So I've got to decide whether Tyler's going to, if I go, hey Tyler, it'd be good if he stopped and came back, but I don't know how to do that. So it's going to be a bit of a learning curve here, because he's running this cutscene all the time. It's called Tyler moving around. So he is in this kind of constant loop. I think I mentioned a bit of this on a previous live stream, where he's playing his idle thing. He waits for a bit, he fumbles on his phone, and then it heads off here and runs these in sequence. So the first time he goes to this marker by the plants, then he goes by the front doors, and he goes somewhere else. So I need to kind of interrupt this, and I'm not quite sure how I do that. So we're going to find out together. What I'm going to do is, when you talk to Tyler at the moment, it runs this. So basically Clive faces Tyler wherever he is. I've got this little variable that I've got set up locally in this scene, because at one point in the game he's talking to this other woman. So at that point I basically set him Tyler busy equals true. So if it is true, then Clive, you can't talk to Tyler basically, and Clive says he's busy with a customer at the moment, I should leave him to it. So that's that state when he's busy. All the other time he just says hey Tyler at the moment. And what I want to do is actually set up a separate action list, and we're going to run, I might do this, I think it's going to need to be in the scene. Yeah, so let's create a new cutscene and call it Talk with Tyler. So that's the cutscene that we're going to run here. Talk with Tyler. So then in that cutscene we can do all the logic that we need to do. So the first thing I want to try out is, if we tell Tyler, like the object, to come to a certain point, or to come to Clive, then does it stop all of his other things that he's on with? That's going to be the interesting thing to find out. So I'm going to set, what am I going to do? I'm going to do object. Am I going to do object? It maybe has to be character, actually. Character move to point. So it's not the player, it's Tyler. And I'm hoping it's gonna interrupt what he's doing. But the marker that I want him to reach, this is the tricky thing. I actually want him to come over to Clive. So I don't know if there's a way to do that, unless or is there a way to just stop him? What other, so there's, let's just see actually if we get Tyler and get him direction to face. Can you put him relative to... So how... face object, that's what I want to do. So Tyler, face with his body, face the player. Wait until finish. So I'm just going to see if he stops walking when we run that. This is a learning curve. Don't know the best way of doing this, but so I want to wait for him to walk off. So he only takes a second. I can alter this so it just takes less time. We don't have to wait for him to fumble around. And I just wonder if when I hit Tyler here, there, here, Tyler, he stops. But then he fumbles. And then I think he's going back into his little loop. And is he going to walk back? Yes, he is. So he definitely faces us, but then he goes back to his thing. So that's kind of tricky. What we need to do is kind of end his cutscene. So let's see if we can work that out. So it definitely interrupts him, but not for long. Is there an action list? Pause or resume. So if we pause his Tyler walking one, Tyler moving around. Let's put these the other way around actually. Pause his thing. Get him to look at Clive. Let's just shorten that time where he's stood here, otherwise we're waiting. I'll just change that to 1 and 1, so it's just a bit quicker. We're not hanging around waiting for it to happen. I just want him to be in motion, so I'm like checking that he is actually responding to what I'm doing. So he's doing his fumble, he waits a second, and then he walks off. And I'm hoping I'm going to be able to stop him somewhere around about here. Tyler, click. There we go. So he's stopped. He's gone to his idle pose. And he's looked at me there. So he has stopped. So what we could do maybe is kind of like in real life. You shout his name, he stops immediately, turns and faces you, and then you walk to him. So that might be a way of doing it. So talk with Tyler. I think what we want to do is that here Tyler bit, you've got to click to continue that bit. So I want to change that first thing because I'm having to click twice basically. So Tyler, when you click this bit, this here Tyler here, we basically want to play that in background so we don't have to click to continue that. So that should just happen automatically, and then he should stop and face us. So he pauses whatever he's doing, he then faces Clive. I reckon if we just wait half a second to make sure that's happened, and then we send, excuse me, send Clive to Tyler. So character, move to point. It is the player. See, this is only to markers. I wonder if I can put a marker inside Tyler. If I did object. just moving it. Yeah, that's translating. You can't. So the character. That's NPC follow. NPC to move. Oh, that's the NPC following the player. Oh, I wonder if you could do that and bring them together. So, oh, that's interesting. So Clive could maybe shout Tyler and set off to a marker. We toggle Tyler to follow Clive within a certain distance and then face him to start the conversation. I wonder if that will work. So if I just start following, he might just come to Clive. That might be. Let's try that out. So NPC follow. So Tyler's gonna start following the player. Update frequency. Let's just try that and set the update frequency to 1 second, because I think that's just checking every second to see whether Clive's moved. And the minimum distance is 1, I guess 1 unity unit. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I've not really done much stuff like this where you get NPCs to react. So I'm going to click him. Hey, Tyler. Oh, he comes over. So every second, yeah, so every second now he's following me. That's quite cool, actually. I'm always amazed at the little features that are in Adventure Create like that. You'll notice there as well something that happened. He slid. I don't have a down walk cycle for Tyler, or an up one, so I need to do that at some point as well. But this is a handy feature because it means he's going to come to Clive, and then if I stop the player from moving and enter the dialogue straight away, then so long as I've got a talk animation, as this is one of the things as well, I don't have talk side animations for Tyler, I don't think. Let's have a look. Tyler front, I think I only did front talks. So yeah, he's got a front talk, which looks quite cool. I like that front talk. It's like you kind of get most of the character when you can see their face. But I haven't done, I've done a talk up because he talks to a customer with his back to you. But I don't have talks from the left and right. Check that. Character, Tyler. Yeah, I don't. So really what I want Tyler to do is I'd like him to come over and then face up. So the tricky thing is if I'm lower than him and I ask him to come, click him again. Right, so I'm just going to have to try a couple of things out. So he follows us. I wonder what randomized position does. So the very next thing we should do, really, because we want it to be facing up and Clive to be facing down, let's just do that. So first direction, the player wants to face down. And Tyler wants to face up. Or the other way around, doesn't really matter, but it depends where they end up lined up. And this is my concern. So, character, first direction, Tyler, this up. I think what we also want to do as well, I have a variable, a global variable called event cutscene. That sets a few things, including stopping the player from moving and other things like that, so that once you start that, you can't move until we're out of the cutscene. So let's see what happens there. I'm gonna let him walk off. Right. So something's gone wrong there. He didn't face up, did he? So let me get lower than him. Of course, he's now following me everywhere. Ah, right. So one of those switches there, face idle, face when idle. I think what's happening is he keeps spinning round to look at Clive, so this face up thing isn't like making any difference. The problem is I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get there, because what I'd like to do is once he gets there is stop him from following Clive once he gets there, but I don't, it depends how far away he is, so that's kind of tricky. Let's see. Also, something that I would have expected the letterbox bars to come in, because I set this, I don't know why it didn't bring in the cutscene thing. Not sure what's going on there. So let me go over here, click on Tyler. So he's still following Clive, but we haven't got a cutscene on, and I'm not sure why. Let me go and check. Event cutscene is false. We're done. Oh, it's because I didn't actually set it to true. Idiot. Okay. There we go. But he's getting there, and then he's not facing Clive. I now can't walk. So, I mean, what I could do really, it's not going to take him any longer than a couple of seconds to get to him. So we could just take a risk, a game risk, that he starts following Clive, which brings him over. I'm sure I'm surprised you can't bring. Let me just try something. Let me put a marker inside Clive. I'm just thinking on my feet here. The problem is Clive, he's not in the scene until he gets like spawned into the scene. So I can't access the marker that's in the scene. No, so I can't do it that way. Let's just have a, I mean, this is working, but it's a bit of a hack, isn't it? We could maybe just wait 2 seconds, because the cutscene borders come in while he's working. Let's say we just wait 3 seconds, because it takes nearly a second and a half, 2 seconds for the cutscene borders to come in. Then we face down, There's no way of positioning him because the distance isn't like X or Y from him, and I'm worried that they're going to end up in different places. Like you're going to be looking up and down when they're not higher or lower than each other, because it doesn't seem to. So he comes over, and that, I mean, that works perfectly. That's exactly what I want to happen. But Tyler was coming from a lower point. He was lower down the screen than Clive. If it's the other way around, so run that again and just make sure we're lower than Tyler when we do it. So we're going to follow him. I think he comes over here the first time. I'm going to get lower down the screen than he is. I'm going to click him. Hey, Tyler. Yeah, so you can see Clive's wandering in front of him because he's actually stood. Tyler's behind him. So that's going to be a problem. So I'm trying to think of a resolution to that. The other thing I could do is we could send them both to specific markers to have a conversation. And that might be a more sensible way of doing it. It would just perhaps be a little bit weird. Say you were like over here and clicked on Tyler and you go, hey Tyler, can we have a chat? And then they both walk to like a preset place to have that chat. I mean, that's I guess the fail-safe way of fixing it. But it would just feel a bit unnatural. I suppose I could section off the whole level, the whole background into 2 parts. So if you're over here when you ask him, they come and stand here and have a conversation. And if you're in this half, they come and stand here and have a conversation. That would be a pretty cool way of solving it and making it feel a little bit more realistic. Yeah, let's do that. That's an interesting thing to do, isn't it? Work out how to do that. So we won't use the follow thing. That is too dangerous for getting a weird behaviour where we get stuck in somewhere. So what we want to do is when you talk to Tyler, we want to check where Clive stood. And if Clive is inside one particular trigger, then you want him to go to a particular talk location. And if he's inside a different one, we want him to go to another one. So what I'll start off by doing is let's just do it in one location where they go to somewhere central just to have a chat, somewhere over here, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. I'm always second guessing myself. Maybe if Clive goes to, Tyler is in the scene, isn't he? The other thing I'm thinking about is this idea of putting a marker inside the character. So in Tyler's case, he is in the scene all the time. So if I put a marker inside him, it will travel everywhere with him. And if that marker's above him, then perhaps we can get Clive to go to that marker. Let's try that. So I've created a new marker. I'm going to put that inside the Tyler object and just 0, 0 that. So there it is. I'm just going to change the sprite for something else. Just so I can see it. What might there be here that we've got? An arrow? Nope. This is literally so I can see. Which one it is. Something absolutely tiny. But I basically want it kind of up. Oh no, I need to undo that. The rotation of these is really important, so let's rotate them. So Clive would stand above him, slightly off to the side, so Tyler faces up, Clive faces down, unless I want to see Tyler's front view when he's talking. As I'm saying this, I'm just thinking, I don't want Clive to go down here in behind the counter to do that. Every time I think of a way, this is typical of trying to solve a problem like this. If Clive walks over to him and he's here behind the desk, which is quite a lot, then there's going to be this weird thing where they're both jammed in here behind the desk. So it maybe needs to be a little bit further away. We're just going to try this out, but let's call that marker Clive's chat point. Okay, let's just try this out, see what happens. So he talks to Tyler, he faces him, we pause this thing, he looks at Clive, we're then going to send Clive, so player, so character, move to point, so it is the player, and the marker we're going to reach is Clive's chat point that is inside Tyler. Oh look, yeah, you can even offset them there, but so he walks, pathfind, we wait till he gets there, copy the marker angle so he's facing the same way as this marker, which is down. You can enforce a time limit in case he gets stuck on something, but he shouldn't. These are all nice easy meshes for them to walk around. And then when he gets there, we want him to face down, Tyler to face up, and then we're going to start a conversation here. So I'll just, for the time being, stick this in so that we see it. A quick chat. All right, let's try that out. See how that works. So let's actually try it in there. Hey Tyler, a quick chat. So he hasn't stopped doing, oh, he has now. He was midway through one of his animations. So we might need to stop that as well. Right, yeah. So I think this is going to work. Even there, it looked all right. He went to him. He moved to that point, as you can see there. It didn't seem too close. I can maybe move it a little bit closer to him. So even if you catch him down here, I suppose the problem is going to be if that marker, yes, if that marker is in a non-walkable area, we might get some weirdness there as well. Seems like every single way I think of doing it, it's like, oh no, what about that? Yeah, so that means that marker becomes unknown as to where that is, because if it's in that cabinet, or it's in a non-walkable area, we might be screwed. So we're trying and failing with lots of different ways of doing this. Maybe we go to my other alternative. Yeah, that's just going to cause problems. Let's just set up somewhere for them to have the conversation and they move to it. And then I'll think about having two separate places they can do that, depending on which is closest. So the thing we need then is two markers, or two sets of two markers eventually. So this marker 2D, I'll call it chat point left. It's be the left side of the screen. Chat point left, Clive. Let's find that. Then I can position them exactly where I want them really for the conversation. So let's have Clive facing up, because I do like Tyler's facing down thing, and his face is quite expressive, and we've seen Clive talk a lot. So that's going to be the chat point at the left side of the screen for Clive. That's the one for Tyler, and we want them offset slightly so that they're not blocking each other. So we've got them in. We're going to make a right one as well, but we're not going to use them at the time for the. We're going to set it up for just one of them first. We'll call it right. So this is the right hand side of the shot. And same for Tyler. Do that far too often. So these, they can have their conversation kind of over here. There's an awful lot going on in this scene, but I think this is a good place to have it, because then Tyler will walk out from behind the desk to have the conversation. And he'll stand in front of Larry there. Or shall I just put it in the middle of the floor? Let's put it here. Right, we'll deal with them in a sec. So we've got some places to send them. That's the main thing. So let's open the Talk with Tyler cutscene again. So we're going to still do all of that, but the characters are going to move to points. We might as well move them both at the same time. I think we're going to do it before all this. The other thing we noticed as well is that Tyler was animating. So we did pause his cutscene, but he was in the middle of an animation loop that lasts a little bit. So not only do we want to pause his thing, we want to set him to idle. So we want to do character, animate, Tyler, reset to idle. So whatever he's doing, we reset him to idle. We get him to face, character face object. So Tyler faces the player. Yeah, so he sets to idle. He faces the player. He's still in his idle. And then we set, at the same time, we set them both walking towards each other is what we want to do. So let's run a new action. So action list, run in parallel. We're going to run two of them in parallel, and that's them walking towards each other. So that one is Clive. We duplicate that. This one It's Tyler. If you want, you can put like a comment in there. Oops. You have to go toggle comment, I think. Clive walking to his point. Tyler walking to his point. So the markers that we're going to head them towards for now, we're just going to use these right hand side ones. So chat point right for Clive. And then we're going to set up another, oops. Why isn't there one for Tyler? What? One for Tyler, didn't I? Oh, got to rename it. Checkpoint right, Tyler. So they've both got their things to go to. They're going to pathfind, wait until they finish, copy the marker afterwards. We don't have to set their direction. So they're both going to head off. Collapse them down. Because they're set to wait till finish, we're going to want to slot this in here actually. Yeah, I'm going to put it back the way it was. So the cutscene borders start coming down as they set off. It'll take them a couple of seconds to get together, ready for their conversation. We shouldn't have to change the way they're facing, but I'll leave these here just in case. And then we'll just have Clive say a quick chat. So let's test that out. I'm hoping that Tyler's going to stop what he's doing, even if he's midway through an animation. So when he starts fiddling there, I'll do it. There you go, he stops what he's doing straight away. But he hasn't come over. Hey, Tyler. Oh. What is going on? Clive's constantly walking. Don't know what's gone on there. Let's just check what we're doing. So we've gone into the cutscene. So he walks, pathfinds, wait till he gets there, copies the thing. Really, we just want to wait half a second before that. They're both going to take different amounts of time to get there. That's what I'm just thinking about. So really, once Clive gets there, we should expect that Tyler's almost there. But he didn't even set off, did he? That was what was weird. Chat point right, Tyler. Oh, it's because I've put his player. Tyler goes to that, that's why. My mistake. So Clive might get there before him. We kind of want to make sure they're both there before it continues. I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. It's kind of like both of these things need to be true before Clive starts talking. I don't think it's going to matter that much. Let's have a look at that now. I've got the right people set up. I wonder why Tyler didn't walk at all. And then Clive was still walking. So I'll wait for him to start fumbling. Click that. Hey Tyler. A quick chat. Perfect, right? Yeah, that looks nice. I think I'm going to separate them a little bit because they look a little bit close. Can't see Tyler's eyes. But yeah, that's that bit. Definitely it's doing the right thing at least. So this is, what mark is that? That's Clive's checkpoint. So I'm going to put him this side. I'm going to put him a little bit higher. Oh no, he was actually all right where he was, but just further across. That's where Tyler's going. That's where Clive's going. Same here. I just thought his eyes on the other side of his hair, so I'm just swapping them over. So slightly better position for a conversation. So that's fine. We'll work out the left and right hand side of the shop in a moment because that'll be a bit different. What I want to do is I want to trigger some dialogue when we get to this point. So I'm going to set this to in there. Trying to think ahead because I've done this a couple of different times. What we want to actually trigger is the conversation, the start of the conversation. I could put it in here, but I don't want this to get too complicated. It's not hugely complicated compared to some of them. I just collapse these, bring these down here nice and neatly. What I'm going to do is start a conversation. So this is basically a list of things that the player can choose from. So I'm going to call this Tyler Convo, and you can add options for the player. I've done a tutorial about this. It's on YouTube somewhere about how to set these up. So this is the conversation that I'm going to trigger here after this a quick chat bit. So we're going to run an action list. What have I called it? Oh, actually, it's because you don't run it as an action list, do you? Dialogue, start conversation. That's why it's a different object type. So when you set these up and you set up some dialogue options, these are the things that I kind of pre-plan in this document. So I started this here. He was going to say, yeah, Clive, what's up? And then it was going to give you the options, basically. So this Tyler Convo A, these were the options I was going to put in. And then these are the, and more alternate options, depending on which part of the game you're in. So these ones I'm going to copy in now. So we'll add a dialogue option. How did the stock check go last night? It's going to be enabled. I don't use these. You can create a dialogue option object, so then you can reuse dialogue options, but I find that more complicated, so I just paste in the actual text. We're going to add another one. It's going to be, it seems a little quiet today. And again, these are the same, enabled. You can put auto disable when chosen so that they disappear off the list, but with these ones that are just generic ones, I don't mind people asking Tyler a couple of times, did you remove the light bulbs from the laminate display? One of the other ones. And then the last one that's going to be there all the time. Any idea a pigeon got in last night? course, a final one. Get back to work, which will be our way to get out of the conversation. Now, all the other ones that I'm going to add on there, they're all going to get added in here as well, and they're going to be set to is enabled false, basically, or link visibility to an inventory item. So only if they're holding the sign, the sale sign, will there be a conversation option about the sale sign, for example. So that kind of thing. So this is where I was wondering whether to put the dialogue in here with this little setup bit or just keep them separate. So the reason being is as soon as I click override options, these are then, this starts the spread, I guess, of all of that conversation, and it will get big as those conversation trees grow, and then all this stuff up here where they come together, I still need to do that checking of whether in the left or the right hand side of the thing, it's going to end up quite a bulky action list with that's doing multiple things. I can delete these now because I know it works. Whoa, what happened there? When it does that, what's it done? Oh, I think when I just deleted that, it just reshuffled that. So what I'm going to do is take this out of here. We're going to create a separate action list just to keep things like self-contained, really. So we'll create a new cutscene. We're going to call it Tyler Convo Options. Actually, no, just call it Tyler Convo A. So we're going to run the action list here. Run in scene Tyler Convo A. So that's, we can kind of close that for now, forget about that for the time being until we need to sort out the trigger locations. So the conversation itself now is going to be triggered in here. So we're going to start that conversation. We're overriding the options. This is where it starts to get a bit mundane, setting all these up. So this is going to be a player line. Because these are just what appears on the screen. The player character, in this case Clive, doesn't say these automatically. So what I've found to do is kind of pull one of them out like that, hit dialogue play speech, player, leave that blank, and then just copy that and just go paste, paste, paste. One for each of these, basically. So that one's going to there, that one's going to there, that one's going to there, and then a final one down to there. So that's the one that's going to take us out of the conversation. Oh, hello there. Hi, Ragnar Bro. Yeah, no, I am live on YouTube today. I believe I am. I think it does say it's streaming to YouTube. But yeah, the usual guys who are on the YouTube live chat are not on this evening. But that's that is Chris. Is it not coming across on YouTube? Very strange. Well, let me know if it's not streaming out on YouTube, and that would explain why nobody's here, but that has happened on more than one occasion. I'll just disconnect my phone. Let's have a look. That seems very strange. All of my streaming software says that it's going out on YouTube. I'm sure it was, but if not, then my apologies. I should have a look at that, really. But I'll definitely put the recording back on YouTube if it's not going out live for whatever reason. We'll have a quick look. Let's just switch that off. Let's have a quick look on. No, it says it is streaming. I am on YouTube there. Not sure what's gone wrong, but I can see myself delayed, which is weird. It has been on for 1 hour and 15 on YouTube, so I'm not sure why that's not showing up. I'll leave it at that. If it's not accessible at the moment, it will be at the end. Or fingers crossed it will be, because it should be recording and it should get put up there as a video afterwards. But thanks for joining, Chris, on Twitch instead. I can see a Twitch icon next to you. I'll crack on. So, yeah, I was just saying there that this is the one that will end the conversation with Tyler. So we're going to have to undo some of the things that have been happening, because Tyler will want to go back to his like wandering about and stuff like that. So what we need to do is go dialogue. Actually, can you? I think this one. No, we can't stop that. I'm trying to think how we stop a dialogue now. So dialogue convo A. In the conversation options, which I've now lost. Too many things open at the same time. Conversations, there it is. Dialogue combo. Like that, I better get back to work. When finished, stop. So I think that stops the conversation. And then certainly from my own thing, I would want to then go variable. And this is my own bespoke one. I basically set the global variable called event cutscene to false, and that'll take off my bars and give me control back and things like that. So we can test that out, that we can get out of the conversation. It should leave Tyler dumbstruck in the middle of the screen. So let's get him now. Brings him over, a quick chat. There's our conversation options. He's staying where he is, which is good. Oh, I can't actually see my other option. That's strange. So none of these are going to work at the moment because I haven't put anything in. But why is that bottom one not showing? I better get back to work. Ah, I know why. I think my menus have a maximum of 4. So if I go to conversation, dialogue list, yeah, maximum number of slots is set to 4. So it's going to have to be bigger basically. But it's 6. Let's just go to the game view. So this is what it looks like. Test slot 6. So yeah, if we set the maximum as 6, then I think what we'll have to do is some of these, how did the stock check go? We're going to have to disable them when they're chosen, because otherwise we might end up with too many bits of potential conversation in there. And then maybe when these have been asked, we can then thread through. This is where it gets more complicated. So the player's going to have to ask some of them to then find out the other bits that might be related to how far through the story they've got. So I hadn't kind of thought of that at the time, but these kind of 4 gateway questions, I think you're going to have to come through those gateway questions to then be able to ask these kind of puzzle specific questions out of Tyler. And there's going to be more than those, but at least, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah, so we're going to have to be clearing them out. It's time for dogs to be barking in the background, it seems. So let's try and just check that that was the issue first of all, because I want to know that we can definitely stop the conversation and get out of it. So I'll go over here, I'll speak to Tyler, they'll go for their chat, quick chat, either get back to work, closes that, and then I get my control back and we're off. Yeah, but Tyler's left kind of dumbstruck there, doing nothing. So he wants to return to his routine as well. And I'm hoping earlier on when we did this talk with Tyler, what we did here is we paused his cutscene that's called Tyler Moving About. So I'm going to copy that and we're going to resume it if we can and see what happens there. So Tyler combo, we'd stop that, we'd come out the cutscene, we'd just wait half a second and then paste that one in there. So Tyler then gets on with his day, resume. So I can rerun the action at the time of the pause. That's a tricky one because he might be over the other edge of the shop. So I'm not actually totally sure what we should do there. Maybe we just need to rerun it. Let's leave it like that and see what happens. Because of course you could be over this edge of the shop near the door and speak to Tyler because he happens to be down there, and they'll go to the other points we've set up at the left-hand side of the shop. But I wonder if he's on his way. I'm going to let him walk. I'm going to let him head off. And then basically call him back. Now he comes over to us. A quick chat. What I'm wondering is whether it's stored where he was heading and it's paused that. And then it will continue to where he was going. So if I go, I better get back to work. Get on with it. All right, so he's having a fiddle. Looks a bit dodgy. So he's gone back to running what he would have done when he got there, which is fine. Yeah, so he just has a little fiddle on his phone, and then he comes back to the desk, and then he's back in the routine now, I think. So he'll go to the next location on the list, which is either this plant. Yep, spot on. Or the door is the next one, so he'll go back to the desk. Yeah, so he's cycling round again. So he is back to that behaviour. So I'll wait for him to come over here and I'll highlight the point I was making earlier on that it's going to be weird if we walk off over there to have a conversation. So I'm hoping he's going to come back soon. Here he comes. So if I click him to talk to, hey Tyler, and then they're going to walk all the way over there to have this conversation. Quick chat. So I'll go back to work. He's going to drop into his looking about. Yeah, so he goes to the next action, which is he looks left and right. He then fiddles with his phone and then he heads back to the desk again. So no, that's good. We can get in and out of that, but that highlights why it's weird for them to walk over here and have a conversation if they're over here. So that's why I've got these other points here. So we just need to check whereabouts. Hello. Hey, Tyler. Get back to work. Yeah, so that's fine. I'm quite happy with that. Off he goes again. So yeah, we definitely need to split the room in two, determine where we are in that room, and then use that to decide whether we're going to have the chat here or we're going to have the chat over there. Oh, can't get to over there because I'm on the game view. So I think the simplest way to do that is to set up two triggers, and if we're in one of those triggers, then we just have a local variable to this scene, because it's the only scene where you see Tyler wandering about. It's the only scene where we need to grab him for a quick conversation. I was going to have him in the office now and again as well, but it's just more complexity. That doesn't really add anything to the game. He's the shop floor assistant, so he should be on the shop floor. So I think the simplest way is we'll create a local variable, and let's just call it basically it's left or right side of the shop. So we're just going to put it, we'll just have it as a boolean. We'll do it as a pop-up because then it'll make more sense to me. Which side of, I usually do my variables with underscores, side of, just call it side of shop, side of shop. So two values, left and right, and then we're going to set up two, so the initial value is actually right because you always come in from that right hand side. So which, this is just my own description so I can remember in a month's time. Which side of the shop is Clive stood in, used for conversation placement with Tyler? Right. So that's just for me. So this side of shop, it's set to right at the start because you're in the right hand side. I just want two big triggers, and when you're inside the trigger at the right, we'll set it to right. And as soon as you actually just need one, and when you're not in it, you're in the left hand side. So we could just do a left hand side trigger. That's probably the simplest way to do it. So one trigger, trigger 2D, left side trigger. Yeah, we don't need two, we just need one. If you're in it, it's like, well, if you can do that. Trigger type on enter. So when you enter the left hand side one, it'll switch it to left. And then I think you can add an on leave trigger as well, so it does both. Work this out. Because I use a trigger for the door here, so the automatic door opens. You might remember that back on a live stream where the door opens when you walk in this area, and that has got a trigger on enter and a trigger on exit. I'm using the transform position of the player to do that, so we should be able to do this exactly the same way. So left side trigger, let's see it in the view, these massive orange boxes. So I have the label down here, so it's just not in the way of everything else. I'll put it there so I can see it. We're not going to use a box collider for it. I could do, but it would be, yeah, go on, let's just do it like that. So make sure it covers all of the walkable area. We'll kind of go to that point in the shop there, I think, right down the middle of that sign. Actually, no, let's put it here because that makes more sense. If you stood this side, you'll go and talk over there. If you stood this side, you'll go and talk over there. So we've got kind of a midway point, edge of that cabinet. Maybe a little bit over. I'm just thinking, if you stood right in the middle, you won't be stood in the middle for much. So that is our thing. I am going to turn off that renderer because it's just very annoying. I don't know if you can actually. Anyway, transform position, detect the player. Doesn't cancel any interactions, so when we enter it, we're going to run this action where we'll just change the variable. It's a set a local variable side of shop. We're going to set it to left. Just copy that. So that's on enter. We're going to set it to left. We're going to add another trigger to it. on exit, transform position of the player, paste that in there, side shop right. So we should be able to check that. See, that's going to be annoying. There's this massive orange thing there. How do you turn that off? I've completely forgotten. Box collider. I've forgotten how you stop them from rendering like that. I thought they had like a renderer thing. That's one as well there. That aircon triggers one. But that's not. Is it because I made it a polygon collider instead? Basically don't want that massive orange thing showing, because it's right in, it covers everything else up, which is annoying. How do you change that? Let's just remove the box collider and put a polygon collider in. Make sure it's a trigger. Yeah, I'll just do it that way instead. Edit that. Just make sure it's covering all of the walkable area. Which keeps buzzing. What is that? Oh, messages. So I could even give it some perspective in that case. Right, let's try this out then. So we just want to check that the variable's getting switched. Oh, we don't want to be in that view. We want to have this so that we can see our variables at runtime as well. So I just want to see that side of shop is changing from right to left when it should. So when he crosses over into here, it's gone to left. You see that there? And he presses back, goes to right. So yeah, as he's crossing in and out of those two locations, so it's pretty much like where the carpet is, where the carpet changes, and it is working fine. So lovely. So now we're just going to use that to decide where they have their conversation. So we've got these markers ready here. This one and this one, isn't it? That one's Clive. That one's Tyler. They're ready to go to. So we'll just go into the convo A. No, it's not in there, is it? It's in the Dr. Tyler. I'm going to rename that. Call over Tyler, because that's what is happening. So these are where it chooses which points they walk to. That's Tyler walking to a point and Clive walking to a point. And when Clive gets there, that's when we move into this bit and trigger the conversation itself. Whoops. That is, I do that so often. When I try and drag a box, if your cursor's on a movable thing, it just changes that. Do that a lot, and you can't undo it either. So this whole thing where they're both moving to their points, we want two variants of this. One if that variable's left, one if that variable's right. So the cutscene will just collapse that. I know that is because it's bright green. We want to do a variable pop-up switch, and the variable is a local variable and it's side of shop. So if we're on the left hand side of the shop, we need to set that up. This is the right hand side one. All of this is going to come after. I've done it again, look at that. What are the chances? Select them all, click and drag it. So these, we're going to copy them, paste them. Always goes in a bit of a mess when you do that. So the right hand side one's done, that does all of that. The left hand side one, we want it to go to his chat point left for Clive, and for Tyler, chat point left for Tyler. So that gets them to their positions. We're interested in Clive getting there, at which point we'll wait half a second and he'll say a quick chat. I might actually put that playing background as well, so then it triggers the conversation without you having to click again. So that should use the side of shop trigger to work out where they're going to go and have this conversation. So let's hit play, try that out. If you're still on the Twitch stream, Chris, can you verify whether or not it is streaming on YouTube? It just seems very strange. I don't want to blow smoke up my own ass, but that nobody's been on the live stream tonight, which is the first time in a long time that's happened. So I presume something's going wrong with YouTube if it didn't show up. So I'm going to grab him here, grab Tyler. Hey Tyler, and yes, they go to the left because we were stood at the left. If I get back to work, not streaming on YouTube. How weird. I wonder what's going on there. What I'll do, just so, if I go to my YouTube live stream, yeah, something very strange going on, because that was showing my stream when I went and checked it before. Yeah, something's gone wrong. That means this isn't being recorded either. Right, what I'll do... no, look, I've just hit dismiss. There's me on this stream a minute ago. How strange. I don't know what's going on there. But yes, I've been live for 1 hour 44. And yeah, nobody's viewed. That is very strange. Well, there you go. You're getting to see the guts in the machine. It's delayed somewhat, definitely. But it is definitely going out live. That is weird. Hopefully, because I have got the end stream button there. Hopefully when it stops that stream, I will be able to publish it on YouTube and people can go back and watch it afterwards. So thank you for that, Chris. Still nothing on the channel. That is weird. So you've just seen there, it's saying it's broadcasting. There's not much else I can do, I don't think, because I don't think you can change the stream settings midway through. So I'll be coming to a wrap up anyway in maybe 15 minutes. So if this doesn't end up getting put on YouTube, then I'll see if I can pull it off Twitch and dump it onto YouTube. There's probably a way to do that. I pay for Twitch, so I'm sure there's some tools. But appreciate you checking that for me, Chris. Right, let's try and finish this bit off because it's working. It's working quite nicely. If I ask him again for a conversation over, and we're in this side, we'll go to this point and we can have a conversation here, and then I'll say I better get back to work. It'll end our cutscene. I'll head off over here. Oh, no. Let me see if I can get him over here. There we go. Tyler. Yeah, excellent. So, all good. We've got that set up. That was something that I genuinely did not know how to do at the start of this live stream. So, we've got that sorted now. So, he will walk to the location, depending on the 2 bits of the screen that we're in, a sensible location to have the conversation. We've got the first conversation options there, and then we're going to add more dialogue options that are going to get added later. So what I can do is on here, let's just get some of these blocked in. So again, it's a bit tricky with screen while I'm streaming at the same time. But here you can click them, copy them and paste them into here, because the player doesn't say these automatically. So click that, copy and paste it into there. Click, copy and paste it there. So they're all the openers, I guess, those gateway conversation options to get into this conversation with Tyler. That's our exit one that we've just been testing. That does actually exit everything and get us out of there. So let's just do a couple of responses for Tyler. Let's check he's speaking and everything. How did the stock check go last night? So this is dialogue, play speech. It's not a player line, it's for Tyler. And I think I'll do the same thing again. I'll copy that, paste it there, paste it there, paste it there. And it doesn't need one for when the end of the conversation, but just hook all these up. There's a lot of repetition in this. I've got to the point now, I think I mentioned earlier on, I do most of my dialogue planning in here. There's that big fish guy one that I did before. There's the bit I mentioned at the start of the stream, which no one will have seen because it hasn't gone out live, where I talked about this epic thing with multi-branching, multiple endings to the game, basically, no spoilers, based on what you say in this big conversation tree. But I tend to do the writing, the script here in Figma, because I cock up so many of these, you end up in a right mess. If you double click them by accident, you can type over them all with a single thing. So I don't do the writing in here. I do it elsewhere and copy and paste it in. So how did the stock check go last night? So this is Tyler getting, oh, that's not typing. I'll do it where I normally do it, actually. So how did the stock check go last night? What I would do is I'd drag out a box. Usually I'd use a colour that represents somebody. So in this case, green is Tyler's hair. So it would be not bad. Managed to get most of the rugs, remnants and lino done, but didn't get around to so that's going to be his response. I'll copy and paste that in. Obviously, if Clive wants to come to, this grey box in the background, this is something I've started doing. It's locked at the moment. This is kind of representing the action list that it's actually within. So I would call it the name of the cutscene that it's in. So these ones that get complicated, they're in multiple cutscenes. Where the conversations sit, because there's probably also loads of animations being triggered in there as well. So that's just helping me to keep track of where everything is when these things get more complicated. So let's just duplicate that. So this is going to be the other one. So it seems a little quiet today. Yeah, Mondays are always a bit slow. Well, that's to a mad Saturday though. And sometimes I go back to a lot of these as well before I copy and paste them all in and just try and make them a bit funnier. Whenever I'm on live stream, I kind of sit and spend a bit more time at that. Oh, when can you wishlist the game on Steam? Yeah, at the very start of this stream, I showed all the Steam artwork, and it's getting submitted probably tomorrow. I need to just finish off the trailer, and that is pretty much done, and the gameplay trailer. All the artwork's submitted. I've got green ticks in everything, but I want to make sure it's got the trailer up and stuff. As soon as Steam have, it usually takes a few days, signed it off effectively, checked that it's all good, then it will be open for wish lists. And at that point, Chris, I will do a video. I've already started writing something for that wish list video, because yeah, it's a big, like, massive milestone for me, massive milestone for the game, getting to that point of being able to say, please wish list it now. So as soon as that happens, you will know. But at this moment in time, I haven't clicked the submit button yet to get the Steam page okayed. But hopefully everything will be fine with that. It's got ticks on the whole of the Steamworks thing. It's ready to go. Yes, it is awesome, Chris. Yeah, I'm really chuffed with that, actually. Yeah, cheers for all of the support up to this point. Getting to the point where people can wishlist it is great. And as I said at the top of the stream, if it goes out anywhere other than Twitch, I've done an awful lot of testing, and that Act 1 and Act 2 stuff, it's pretty solid. There's just a last bit of Act 2 to do. There's been a lot of bug testing. My wife, Shell, she's helped with a lot of that as well. But yeah, I am going to want to get some beta testers. I need to get Act 2 completely finished, so you get effectively out of the shop and off to Funky Monkeys. So that is kind of Act 2 and a chunk of Act 3. I want to get to that point so that that can be beta tested, and then we're up to a really good solid place there. That's yeah, that's the work that needs doing at the moment. And as I said again, top of the stream, it's trying not to make too many spoilers, because as much as people will want to play the game anyway, I'm sure, if they've followed along on these live streams, it'd just be a bit of a shame if the twist and some of the stuff that happens later in the game, that you'd seen it all. It was like, oh, I want something to be a surprise when I play it. So yeah, I'm just trying to structure live streams around not having massive spoilers in them. So this one, did you remove the light bulbs from the limit display? Light bulbs? No. It was turned off when I left last night, so I didn't notice. And then, so there's going to be like a response here from Clive, because this is part of one of the weird things that is leading to the realization that something's going wrong. How weird. Came in morning at 8. So you can see, like, this is just much quicker, Fig Jam again, that I'm using, than working in Adventure Creator when you're like playing with ideas for the scripts and things like that, because I'll come back and make these better, basically. This is the flow of the conversation, and I'll tweak them and make them funnier, make them sound a bit like more like the characters would speak. But again, this morning, 2 bulbs are missing. I mean, it's going to be something stupid that Tyler's going to say. We've got 4. Right. So there's some silliness going on there. Any idea how we got a pigeon in here? Oops. lot of like a bird, like a live pigeon. Music, yes. I still don't know whether I'm disappointed or not. I'm not. I'm really happy with the decision that I've made, Chris, on the music. I have decided not to use the one that I wrote, and it's only because I found some other music that I really, really liked, and the problem I had with the one I'd written, I actually rewrote it in a slightly different time signature. It was a bit more, I needed to make it a bit quicker. It was too slow, and the game felt slow with it in when I was trying it out. So I wanted something a bit more upbeat and a bit more silly. I think the adverts, I've still got the adverts in there. I'm going to actually write more because I think they work really well. But I've got a different bit of music for the adverts and some similar kind of style music for the rest of the game that works really, really well. Or I think it works really well. My wife tested it, thinks it works really well. It sounds right, and because the same composer made what I've now got as the main game theme and this other theme that I've used for the like backing music in the adverts, it just gels much better. What I found was the advert music I wrote, whilst it was fun doing that, I did a live stream about that, I think I would have struggled to write a theme for the game that I felt happy with and felt happy someone listening to for potentially a few hours whilst playing this game. Whereas the one I've gone with, there was also another piece of music. Again, I think same composer. All of his stuff was free. It was on Pixabay. I think it was Pixabay. I think I played one of them out on a live stream. I was like, oh, I really like that one, and that kind of stuck in my head. And I've ended up going with these 3 or 4 bits of music where I was able to use one of his for the trailer as well that I'm putting together for Steam. So it all just gelled a lot better. And I was kind of staring down the barrel of maybe having to write 3 or 4 bits of music, all different but in the same style. And I thought, oh no, I'm giving myself too much to do there. So who knows, maybe a collector's edition, I finish off that bit of music. But yeah, I think I've made the right decision for me, I think, and the right decision for the game. I think that the vibe that the music gives is really funny as well. It's nice, and the adverts work really well with this other bit of backing music as well. So yeah, that is all sorted. That music, that allowed me, I think that was what I was saying on the last live stream, I couldn't make the trailer until I'd made the decision about music, because the trailer needed music and the game needed music. So I was getting held up by that, and it was becoming a bit of a, yeah, like a writer's block moment. It's like I can't move with the project until I make that decision. So yeah, I think it was the right decision in the end. Hopefully you'll all agree. The music is really good. I'd play it out on this live stream, but it's not that it's copyrighted. It's copyright protected. You don't get a strike for it on YouTube, but it just flashes up. But I got one when I played a bit of it out before. But it sounds good. Hopefully by the end of next week I will get the thumbs up from Steam and you'll be able to watch the trailer on Steam whilst you're hitting the wishlist button. That'd be beautiful, wouldn't it? As soon as that happens, I will let you know. Actually, I'm going away to a festival on Thursday morning. I'm going to be away for the whole bank holiday weekend, so I'm going to miss another live stream. I'm going to miss a chunk of days working on the game, but somewhere I hope in the end we will get a wishlistable Steam game maybe by next weekend. We'll see. I might be in a camper van at a music festival and find that information out, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Right. So, like a bird, like a live pigeon. Yes, there was a dead one on the laminate display this morning. Who were, let's have the word blighter. Blighter? So there's a mention of there's basically a mouse trap in the kitchen, and it mentions that Tyler found some Kraft cheese slices behind the lino display a couple of weeks ago. So this is going to pull back to that as well, I think. Whether or not someone's seen it doesn't really matter, but oh, nasty. Our second what do people call I think our second infestation. Although I think the mice have gone after we removed those cheese slices we found behind the lino stand. So a little bit of info from Tyler that fills in a bit of the narrative, and then Clive says something like as if someone is trying to attract the word vermin. And then Tyler says something silly. Government. So something like that would be like my typical. Some of these will have longer responses than others. Made a decent dent in it, at least. Thanks. And all of these will basically go back up to this level and then drop back into this conversation with whatever options are left. So this is another reason why Figma's really, or Fig Jam is really helpful with this, because then you can actually get the structure of how everything loops around, and then I basically recreate that in Adventure Creator once it's all spell checked, written nicely. I've decided where things are going. It's much easier in here to move some things about and relink some things or change some other stuff than it is once you're in Adventure Creator. So yeah, this is the handy way to do it, I think. Oh, I've just noticed the time. Right, I think I'll probably leave it there. Apologies if you're watching this back that it didn't go out for whatever reason on YouTube. It didn't go out live. Hopefully you'll be able to watch it back on YouTube. If not, then I'll put a community post on YouTube directing people to Twitch, because Twitch should, well, it is going out live on Twitch because thankfully Chris is watching it on that. But they do get recorded on Twitch as well, so they're available to watch back on Twitch. So if for whatever reason when I end the stream it doesn't actually commit and save it to YouTube, then I'll put a community post to shoot people in that direction. Right, well, thank you for watching if you watched. If it's gone out, then brilliant. I hope people have heard this. Those who've seen it on Twitch or are going to see it on Twitch, really appreciate following along. As I said, won't be here next Sunday because I will be at a festival down south in England. But I hope to have good news sometime in the week that we might have a game to wishlist. And as soon as that is done, I will get a video sorted and announce that as soon as I can. So thank you very much. As always, please hit the subscribe button if this is the first time you've ever seen this, if this has gone out to anybody. Yeah, I will catch up with everybody soon and get a new video out as soon as possible. Right, thank you very much. Good evening. See you later, Chris. Take care, everyone. See you later. Bye.